All right, everyone, welcome back for another video. And today I just wanted to revisit the fact that the USDC is moving to Stellar. I think this is being completely downplayed and no one's talking about it. I'm not sure why, but I'm sure you can all agree that if USDC had moved to the XRP ledger, right, it's going to be running on XRP, then everybody in the Ripple and XRP community would be blowing it up, right? Making this thing a huge deal. But since it's not, it's going to Stellar, everyone's just kind of brushed it off and pretended like, okay, well, no one cares, it's just a stable coin. But I think if you dig a little deeper, we might find that USDC will be the United States stablecoin, our CBDC. First and foremost, the ticker itself has, instead of CBDC, it's USDC, so United States Digital Currency. I think a lot of people probably look at it as USD coin, but who knows what they actually meant by the ticker. Obviously, that's just speculation. But let's keep digging. So, a couple things to note about this article. So Stellar is going to be available USDC is going to be available on Stellar in Q1 of 2021. And a couple things people may or may not know. So first and foremost, to use Stellar blockchain, you have to use the Lumen. So unlike XRP, you can use the ledger without engaging with the XRP coin itself per se. But just something to know. Fun fact there. Also, the Stellar project positions itself as a value settlement layer, claiming over 4.6 million accounts and 1 billion transfers on the blockchain since inception. I just wanted to point that out because, I know that there is about 4.6 million accounts on Stellar, whereas, if you look at the XRP ledger and XRP accounts, it looks like there's only about 2.1 million. So whatever significance that might have, if any at all, who knows? But there's more Stellar accounts than there is XRP. So take that for what it is. All right. And, as I continue to go through this, just keep in mind, I definitely am still extremely bullish on XRP. But I just think that, you could put Stellar right there, up there with XRP. And personally, I have both, and I'm just not going to worry about it. That's my strategy. But I want to dig into the significance of the USDC in general. So first and foremost, the man with the plan behind all of this is Brian Brooks. I think his connections run deep with USDC. So it's good to first and foremost review his history. So from 1994 to 2011, Brian Brooks worked as a managing partner for a law firm in Washington, D.C., and their specific practice and focus was in financial services. So Brian Brooks has been through it all, the dot-com bubble, the financial crisis of 2008. So he's seen plenty, I'm sure. He also worked for Fannie Mae, which does like the mortgage loans and stuff for housing, I believe, real estate. And then worked at Avant. And then he went to Coinbase. And I think during this period of time was when he helped work on the USD coin, or however you want to call it, over there at Coinbase to help them get that set up. And then now he's the acting comptroller of the currency for the Office of the Comptroller here in the U.S., as well as a member of the board of directors for the FDIC, which is basically the entity responsible for all the insurance backing up funds at a bank. So obviously very plugged in here, and he has been vocal about USD coin or stable coins in general for a while. So let's read this article from November of last year. Coinbase officers call for tokenized US dollar, wins Circle CEO support. All right, so the idea behind this article is who creates the digital dollar? Brian Brooks says policymakers are just now contemplating the question of who should proceed with the creation of a tokenized dollar. the government, or private firms. The best path, according to Brooks, is that the country should leverage technology innovations and the government should position private innovation within the financial system. So he literally said a year ago that he thinks that private innovators and innovation should be what leads the new financial system, basically. And he says that means letting innovators invent and letting government regulate. In short, the private sector should build the technology. The private sector should build the technology, and the public sector should set the monetary policy. All right, simply put. All right, he says the U.S. is the world's leader in technology innovation, but that leadership is provided by the private sector, not by the government. We think USDC and other fully backed stablecoins like it are great examples of how the US can take the lead without exerting unnecessary control over technology decisions that are providing increased access to our financial system. So basically, USDC and other stablecoins can help the US take the lead without putting too much control into the government's hands. All right, and he says this can all be done while still empowering central banking authorities and building trust between individuals and institutions. So Brian Brooks is calling for the private sector to build the CBDC, in my opinion. All right, and he specifically cites USDC. All right, and he does so again here. So this tweet, even more than a year now. He said yesterday's announcement that the government of the government of Bermuda will accept USDC for many services, along with its intention to integrate DeFi protocols into its financial operations, are yet another sign that the time for tokenized currencies is here. And then he follows that with senior government officials in the US are increasingly reaching this same conclusion. Top Fed staff had called for studies of the idea. Democratic and Republican members of Congress wrote to Fed Chairman Jay Powell just a week ago asking about the implications. All right, goes on to talk about it a little more. A few more tweets here that are important. Yesterday, the former chairman of the CFTC advocated for the creation of a tokenized greenback. The reasons are clear. The USD is under pressure as a global dominant currency. Other countries, China, Russia, UK, are exploring the viability of digital fiat. But there is confusion about whether the US government needs to create the digital dollar or whether it can be created by the private sector. The US leads the world in tech innovation, but leadership is provided by the private sector. All right, the way for the US to lead is for government to retain control over monetary policy and to harness the innovation of our private sector by adopting tokens built by innovative private companies. Okay, and then once again, USDC and TrueUSD are great examples of how the US can lead without the government exerting control over the tech. So he's been saying it over and over for a year. And this, remember, is before he became the acting comptroller. All right, he is now. That started in March of this year. This is October 2019 that he was saying all this. So he's been talking about the USDC being accepted by Bermuda, being talked about by our government itself. And let's move on. So another important article just this year came out in June. He did a podcast, and here once again he said, now as the acting comptroller of the currency, Brian Brooks touted a private sector-led approach, saying that the tech realm is best suited to build the currency. The tech realm is best suited to build the currency, and the governments should regulate it. All right. So he's been saying it for years. Now he's acting comptroller, still saying it, that the private sector should build it. All right. Well, my point is, I think it's already built, and I think it's USDC. All right. But let's move on. So another important thing I wanted to talk about in this article. Brooks says anti-money laundering and other compliance concerns will be the most substantial hurdles. Okay, so this is important to me because as I showed you just in my last video talking about USDC to Stellar. I'll put it here in the upper right hand corner if you want to check it out. But anyway, so right here on the Stellar website, perfectly tying into this quote here, anti-money laundering and compliance concerns are the biggest hurdle. Well, right here on Stellar's website, the power of Stellar. Tokens are most useful when tied to currencies representing dollars, yuan, euro, that makes payments borderless and instant. In theory, on Stellar, you could issue a token for corn bushels or gold or shares of a REIT or an hour of your time as a consultant. Or you could do what anyone has done, such as Tether did for the dollar with their USDT, or what Coinbase is doing with their USDC. Okay, Stellar says, the platform was designed for stablecoins before stablecoin was even a word. By default, Stellar tokens can be seen, held, and traded by any user, but they are highly configurable. All right? And this is important because they say if you have specific compliance needs, you can, for example, require that any holder of your token pass your KYC program, or you can also enforce Reg D ownership requirements of your token. So Brian Brooks, the acting comptroller, says anti-money laundering and other compliance concerns are the biggest hurdle, while USDC is moving to Stellar, where you can require any holder of your token to pass KYC, and you can also enforce Reg D ownership requirements of your token. All right, and that the platform was designed for stablecoins before stablecoin was even a word. All right, so maybe you're getting it, picking up what I'm putting down, but I think USDC is the United States central bank digital currency. The theme going around, they're telling everyone we're oh so behind China. China's light years ahead, which I'm going to talk about a little more, but I don't believe that for a second. Okay, so other few things that Brian Brooks has done since he came into office, kind of trying to recap everything. So in July here, right here on the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency's website, federally chartered banks and thrifts may provide custody services for crypto assets. So just in July, they made this rule change that is going to allow banks to custody crypto, and this would include stablecoins. Okay. So there you have it. There's another rule change that he has implemented, and another one. So right after that, SEC and the Office of the Comptroller, where he works, issues first regulatory clarifications for stablecoins. The OCC and Securities and Exchange Commission published stablecoin guidance on Monday, providing the first detailed national guidance on how cryptocurrencies backed by fiat should be treated under law. Prior to Monday's notices, there was no federal clarity around stablecoins. Okay, so another rule clarity or clarifications from the OCC, and same here. So Ripple keeps saying, we need clarity, we need clarity, we need clarity. Regulations need to be put into place for us to move forward. Well, they're secretly doing it behind the scenes, but they're not making it a big deal. You know, they're just focusing on, oh, well, everyone's calling for clarity. We're so behind everyone. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, all these changes are being made, and USDC is being moved to Stellar. And simultaneously, if you come over to all these major, Chinese originated exchanges have USDC on their platform in one way or another. Some of them don't have even their own country's currency. Binance has a lot, so they have USDT, USD, USDC, so on and so forth. Pax, DAI, they're all dollar based, but they have other countries' currencies as well. But my point being, USDC is on Binance. Okay, so there it is. It's also on Huobi. If you come here, search for USDC, there it is. Whereas Huobi doesn't have any of the other major fiats, at least from what I can see. I was searching around here. I don't see any. I just see the dollar. So USDC's on there with HUSD as well as USDT. And then same thing for OKX, who just got shut down temporarily because of legal issues once again. But they have USDC right there on their platform as well. So my point being is you get themes like this going on where it's saying this article here, understanding China's digital yuan. The People's Bank of China, China's central bank, is expected to publicly launch a digital version of the yuan as soon as late 2020. The PBOC has rolled out pilot tests in at least 4 cities, reportedly with the participation of U.S. businesses. While various countries are conducting research and development on central bank digital currencies, China is significantly ahead and appears poised to be the first large economy to issue such a currency. Well, I'd have you think again. I think that the pieces are already all in place. USDC moving to Stellar, which was specifically designed for stablecoins and settlement on the retail level, I would guess, moving currency to currency. And USDC listed on all major Chinese exchanges. So while China is rolling out their own central bank's version of the coin, we've already got one in circulation that has close to 3 billion in circulating supply, whereas I think the China's only pushed out like 100 million of their own. So I could totally be wrong, but I'm sure you get my point here, is that all you have to do is create the stable coin, push it out there into circulation, put it on all the different Chinese exchanges, make it the center of attention, while simultaneously go into public presentations such as at the IMF and so on, which I forgot to mention as well. So Stellar has a speaker that just presented at the IMF as well, talking about central bank digital currencies. So Stellar is just as plugged in as Ripple, maybe further, but no one wants to cover it. And meanwhile, I do think that we might have snuck our central bank digital currency out there in circulation without acting like anything happened. So that's just my take. Could be totally wrong, but once again, I think it's good to, we are trading a speculative market. You have to remember that. So I would say it does not hurt to have some diversification when trying to pick the future winners. All right, and last but not least, some more speculation here. Those of you who haven't heard of the Kendra Hill threads, so this character named Kendra Hill went on to Steam It and posted a lot of weird things about what they expect the future to be and how they're plugged in with all these investment bankers and so on. But anyway, they had a different take on XRP and Stellar, so let's take a look. So Kendra Hill states, Ripple and Stellar are like brother and sister, each providing something of value in the new world financial system. Ripple is said to be a cross-border payment provider, and with the use of XRP, it will be, for a short period of time. The world will not need a cross-border payment provider when we are using the Lumen. Stellar Lumens will become the world currency, while XRP becomes a store of value. The Lumen is digital silver, and XRP is digital gold. The purpose of XRP is to be used in the derivatives market while also acting as a store of value. XRP is not and was never intended to be a currency, nor was it created to be used specifically for cross-border payments. When Codius is released, we will see its true purpose unveiled. So what they basically said was they think that, in the future, Stellar is going to be the one world currency tied to, I would guess, CBDCs until those are done away with. I don't know, who knows. But this person says XRP is going to be used for something completely different, going to be digital gold and store of value. But I find that interesting because you have Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse begging people publicly for regulations, and he keeps citing the DCEA, which is the Digital Commodities Exchange Act that is being proposed right now. So if XRP were to become a digital gold per se and store of value in the future, it would need to be considered a digital commodity, wouldn't it? Not currency. So kind of interesting there. All right. Once again, a little bit of speculation, but it's not unfounded. And I've showed you all the ties with Brian Brooks and USDC and how he's laying out all these rule changes. And then USD somehow moves to Stellar. Right here on Stellar's website, they tell you that Stellar can allow you to handle any specific compliance needs, such as requiring your holders to pass KYC and also enforcing Reg D. All right, and Brian Brooks specifically said that anti-money laundering and other compliance concerns will be the most substantial hurdles. So there you have it. USDC moved to a platform where you can, require KYC and so on with your token. I don't know. Our central bank digital currency could already be out there. I mean, it's just as easy as adding more to the ledger with the USDC. So they could pair it one-to-one eventually if they wanted to with the circulating supply of dollars. All right, so keep that in mind. It's going to be a very interesting future ahead of us, and I'm just trying to help people have a well-rounded perspective on all the different options that could unfold. So hope that was interesting for you. As always, please like and subscribe, share with your friends and family, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.
What is a cashless society? What does it actually mean in a literal or high-level sense?
Money will become like these, relics of a different age, and will only be found in places like this. In other words, hard cash will disappear. It will become electronic, transferred by things like these.
Then Tracy is in Beijing to show us what a nearly cashless society actually looks like. Ben, good morning.
Mobile payment transactions in China reached a cumulative total of 277.4 trillion RMB in 2018, ranking #1 in the world, according to the recently released statistical report on internet development in China. As of June 2019, online payment users in the country reached 633 million. The cashless society is now approaching.
When's the last time you paid with cash? Well, chances are cash has taken a backseat to the plastic in your wallet and smartphone pay apps.
Denver 7's Ryan Luby explains the digital pay revolution and why not everyone is on board.
The cashless society, the cashless society.
The cashless society.
The cashless society is now approaching.
The cashless society.